What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This video we are looking at the final look for Draftkings and FanDuel week 3. So we have a 12 game slate for tomorrow. We got some weather concerns in the northeast with the tropical storm up here, so we have a lot of totals that are low for this week. We got one that's pretty high, which is in that Vikings game. Let's go ahead and get started, look through the slate. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Twitter is at the DFS Process. If you want to join, you can visit the website, dfsprocess.net. Good start to week 3 after a poor week 2 with the Thursday Night Football. Hit on both sites. See what we can do for Sunday slates. Starting off at the quarterback position, you have a couple over $8,000. Mahomes gets a good spot here at home against the Bears, who got a lot of hype heading into the season, but it looks like they are the same old Chicago Bears that we're used to. Very likely they will start 0-3 this season going into Kansas City. Chiefs are 12.5 point favorites. Mahomes has looked sharp first couple weeks, even though he hasn't had crazy numbers. He's still giving you 21 and 25 fantasy points on not his best showings, but still solid. Shows how much upside he has. Normally I don't like to spend this much for quarterbacks, but if you're looking for either one of those guys above 8,000, be looking at Mahomes this week. Lamar Jackson, he goes up against Gardner Minshew this week with Anthony Richardson not playing. It would be nice to see Lamar and Richardson go back and forth with their rushing abilities. Lamar's 77. He's priced up. He's looked good in week 2. Week 1 didn't look very good. Still hasn't had a rushing touchdown yet, but that is definitely going to come. So he's a good GPP play. You got Herbert, 75. I probably like Lamar more than Herbert, but this is definitely one game that you can stack up both sides. It has the highest total by far on this Sunday slate. You can expect both offenses to move the ball and go downfield, and both offenses do like to throw a lot, especially without Eckler. We saw Herbert throw a ton last week, and that should continue against the Vikings. Fields $7,100. I'm not that interested in him. Kind of priced where he should be, maybe a little expensive for being a double-digit road underdog. Kirk Cousins, $6,900. He's had some good games because he's had to throw a lot and they've been down. So 44 times throwing. They still like to throw a lot. That offense does, and they did bring in Akers, but it doesn't look like he's going to be active in in week 3, first game with the Vikings. So still expect the Cousins in that offense to throw a lot. It does make for a nice stack here. Looking at the receivers especially. Don't know if I need to get to a quarterback here. Now looking at cheap quarterbacks, you got a lot that are valuable. $5,300 CJ Stroud threw for almost 400 yards last week. Not sure how many people saw that coming. Looked good. He has Nico Collins, Tank Dell, both look good last week. It is a decent spot against the Jags, but $5,300 for him. You also have other guys like $5,100 Gardner Minshew. He has a tough spot going into Baltimore, but the price tag is just really cheap for him. Then you get $4,900 Andy Dalton. So if I'm going cheap, I'm looking at CJ Stroud or Andy Dalton. I think Dalton you can trust a little bit more just because he's been here and done that. Stroud's just making his third start. And with Andy Dalton, there's a wide receiver I want to stack him with that's super cheap and barely spending any for a quarterback number 1 wide receiver stack, and allows you to pay up for some other spots. So Andy Dalton at $4,900 looks to be a guy that I am looking at targeting this week. Running back, you got some values, but your expensive option is Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson. Both are really solid. I like Pollard just because he's getting all the touches. Bijan still looks really good. And I'll probably try to get to him if I can't get all the way up to Pollard. If I can't find extra $200, but 78 he is, with some of these injuries up top, he's the second most expensive running back with Eckler out, and obviously Chubb is out for the year, unfortunately. Derrick Henry, I'm not going to play him against that Cleveland defense. They are solid. He's pricey at 74. See if Aaron Jones is able to play. Questionable. Looks like he's probably going to, we'll see. I think he'll play just because he practices limited fashion. He's typically a guy that can gut it out, but keep an eye on that. You have Jamar Gibbs, who is going to be looking at a bell cow type of workload this week with David Montgomery unavailable. So makes him look like a really good option because he is involved in the rushing game, and obviously the receiving game is going to get you some targets as well. So Jamar Gibbs, definitely a guy that you can look to just with how cheap he is. Another guy that looks appealing that is $6,200 is Kenneth Walker. I'm putting him in right now because there hasn't been much competition in the backfield for him. It's been Walker getting you 19 or 18 and 16 touches in the first couple weeks. If you look at the other Seahawks running backs, they're not really doing a ton. Could get some rain in this game. So, yeah, Charbonnet just got 6 touches last week. And then DJ Dallas has the questionable tag, so we'll see if he's able to play. If not, just maybe you get extra 1 or 2 carries for Kenneth Walker. So he's a 4 o'clock game, so you might want to put him in your flex, depending on what other running back you have. But then the other cheap running back that you can look to this week, there's quite a few. You could take a shot on Raheem Mostert against Denver. I think he looks really solid. Yeah, Brian Robinson's looking really good for the Commanders, not getting much carries for Gibson. Jamal Williams is out, so you'll probably see a combination of guys. Tony Jones, you'll probably see Miller, and Taysom Hill will run a little bit for them, so it's not like it's just going to be one guy soaking all that up. You have Kelly, who didn't get any catches last week. Probably going to be looking at touchdown upside, just with how high scoring the game is going to be. So he's a solid option, but for $4,800, I'm still going to look at Ford. It's a difficult spot, but you're going to get an RB1, so still view him as a lead back. Kareem Hunt has just been signed, so it looks like he will be playing this one. Don't know how much he'll get. He is familiar with the offense, but I still believe that they're not going to want to put him, give him a ton of work in his first game in a long time, so I believe it's still going to be looking at Ford getting 15-plus touches, and at $4,800, a guy that can catch a bit as well. Looks to be a solid option. Wide receiver is going to be looking to pay up for Justin Jefferson. He's had some monster receiving games, still looking for his first touchdown of the season and what is going to be the highest scoring game of the slate. Expected to be, I think it's the week that he finally gets into the end zone at least once. You know he's going to get 12-plus, 10-plus, probably 12-plus targets. The super high floor and a very high ceiling for Justin Jefferson, and with some of the value, it's pretty easy to get to him. Other guys I'm looking at, I like Jefferson over Hill this week. Looking in the 8K range, you have Diggs. He's fine, but probably like CeeDee Lamb at 77 against the Cardinals. He's looked really good, even in a tougher spot last week against the Jets. Put up 143, and week 1 they didn't really need him. They might not need him much in this one, but I still think he'll get you close to, if not over, 100 yards. Calvin Ridley, with the injury to Zay Jones, will get some more work. Jalen Waddle is questionable. We'll see if he's out. Then that will just make Hill look a little bit better, but it'll make Craycraft and Braxton Berrios be like value, look like okay value plays. Other options that I'm looking at, you got Mike Williams. I think he looks solid. 13 targets for him last week. It's no difference that with Eckler back there, he's typically not going to get that many targets. We saw Kelly only get 1 target, and Eckler's usually going to get like sometimes 8 plus 10, around 10 targets. We've seen him. So those are going to go to Mike Williams. Those are going to go to Keenan Allen. They're going to get a pretty sizable discount from Keenan Allen to Mike Williams this week, and I think Williams looks like a really good play to bring it back from a Justin Jefferson, and he's only 6,000 flat, so he looks really solid. Other cheap plays I'm looking to would be Cooper, Gabe Davis, Jordan Addison at $5,500, but I said I'll probably look to stack Andy Dalton with a receiver, and I think that receiver is going to be $3,900 Adam Thielen, who super cheap. We saw that offense really struggle so far this year because Bryce Young is looking like a rookie basically. He did target Thielen early and often last week, and I think Dalton is going to hone in on 1 or 2 guys, and it's going to be Thielen. It's going to be probably Hayden Hurst. You're not going to get much from Chark, it looks like. So Thielen, $3,900. Love his over on sportsbooks at like 35 receiving yards. Tight ends this week, your pay up is Travis Kelce. I think he's due for a touchdown, due for a big week after coming back last week and having an okay game, but didn't have the yardage, did get into the end zone, but didn't have a ton of catches. Hawkinson will probably be somewhat popular after his 2 touchdown performance, priced up, probably like Kelce a little bit more, but he's doable. Andrew, 6,000. Hunter Henry has looked to be one of the favorite targets in New England. For Mac Jones, he's only 41. Looks solid. Sam Laporta, another guy that you can target if you're looking to play another Panther would be Hayden Hurst. And looking at other options, you got Zach Ertz, just pretty reliable target for Dobbs. 18 targets through 2 weeks is super nice for a tight end. Taysom Hill wouldn't surprise me if he gets into the end zone with some of the injuries that they're dealing with. 9 carries last week. Maybe he'll get you a 100-yard bonus if he does get you a lot more carries without Jamal Williams this week. And then going over to defense, cheap defenses that I think you can target probably be, maybe can look to the Texans defense, but probably won't get to them. I think over 25 you have the Falcons, possibly the Jets against Mac Jones. I like the Bills against Sam Howell. And if you're looking to pay up for a defense in the mid 3 to 4K range, obviously the Cowboys look really good, but they're $4,400. Don't know how many people get to them. I personally think the Browns you can target with Tannehill's struggles at times, and then the Ravens are going up against Gardner Minshew. But that's what I got for Draftkings. Let's take a look at FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, pretty similar. The only difference I have is Mostert instead of Kenneth Walker, just with the pricing. But quarterback Andy Dalton is only $6,200. He's $3K cheaper than Mahomes. Just personally, I'd like to get to the savings at quarterback, where and any of these cheaper quarterbacks could have a couple touchdowns, and easier for a cheap quarterback to be similar to an expensive one. So Dalton and CJ Stroud, some of these guys that are below 7K, I think are appealing this week. Running back, you got a couple guys, 9K, Tony Pollard and Bijan. You can probably fit them in on FanDuel easier, just with some of these other cheap guys that we have. Other picks, still think Walker's a decent option. I like him more than Brian Robinson, like him more than Gibbs, who's at 7K. Looks solid, but I don't know, I just feel Walker in that good matchup is going to have another solid performance. 66, Mostert, cheaper than Sanders, just same price as Algier. Like him a lot. It seems to be the lead back in Miami. They're not giving much touches to anybody else except for Ahmed, getting a handful. And then other picks you could look to would be like Josh Kelly at $6,100. Maybe Gus Edwards. You want to take a shot on Madison for tournaments. And then below 5K, took Ford again just because he's only $5,600, and I think he's going to get bulk of the work. I think they'll ease Kareem Hunt in there as the season goes on. Receiver, still looking to pay up for Justin Jefferson this week. Second one, Mike Williams, just with that game. I want to get a lot of exposure to that one, especially getting a couple of receivers that I think could give you at least one, if not multiple, touchdown upside. And then Thielen is only 57, so I plugged him in just to pair with Dalton. I think they're going to move the ball a little bit against Seattle. They're probably going to be trailing to have to throw a lot, so wouldn't be surprised if Thielen has a very solid game. And in that range, I think he is valuable when he's cheaper than like Bourne against the Jets, Peoples-Jones, Reed, Dotson, all these other guys that are kind of like second and third options on their team, whereas Thielen is going to be the number one receiver. Tight end wise, you can get to Kelsey's only 8K, so he looks solid. Other picks would be Hunter Henry, $5,700. Maybe take a shot on Kyle Pitts for tournaments, $5,400 only. And then you got Laporta, Ertz as pretty solid options that you can target. And then defense-wise, your cheap defenses are not looking at the... Maybe you could take a shot on like the Texans if you just want to punt at defense. Not going to look to the Bears or Cardinals. Not looking at the Vikings. Not looking at the Broncos defense. And then besides them, you're probably looking... Ones that look somewhat playable would be the Titans against the Browns. Possibly the Jets, definitely against Mac Jones. The Bills I like. They're $4,400 though. 43 for the Browns. Looks solid too. And then if you want to pay all the way up, it'll be for the Cowboys or the Patriots. But that's about it for the final look for Week 3. Drop any questions in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.